Near, 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 rip a hole in the sun. Welcome to Cum Paude. Why would you cum soft when you can cum louder? Yeah.
Rip a hole in my bow. Welcome to Cum Paude, Cum Laude, Paude Productions. We're here at What Studio for the final Paude of this season, of this year, rather. It is December 31st. We're about to journey into 2025, a quarter way through the century, and we just locked up our 2024 fantasy football champion, Scooter Top G, the Bermuda Talon Goals. It's wood burning time. Yeah, we'll get this out to you, Scooter, as soon as we can. As the famous Ron Sword said, it's going to take a lot of effort here from yours truly. Might burn myself several times getting this in here, just trying to get it all to fit. But it's going to happen. We're going to make it work, and ideally deliver it to you as soon as possible with a late date of February 21st in Emmitsburg, Maryland at the Mount St. Mary's St. Peter's Peacocks basketball game. Invite is out to anyone here that is a fan of the Paude. Aaron Rodgers, if you are listening, I understand that you have been linked to the Paude as well as Pat McAfee, just so you guys can get some notes on how we do this production here. It's a very successful production. We get quite a few views. High percentage of the league watches it. I think about 9 out of 14 watch it. It was pretty solid viewership. But let's get back to business. Scooter Top G made the run, was a fan favorite from the beginning. Arrive Dirce Kilo Turd did call out that Scooter was going to have a high finish. He also called out that Tommy Barnes was going to have a high finish. Both of them projected to be in the 12-2 range at the beginning of the season prior to start of the season. And look, we got those two in the championship. So it looks like Arriva Dirce's finally starting to get a feel for the Dynasty League here and how things are going to shake out with predictability. Obviously, there's injuries throughout the year. There's players that don't meet their potential, but pretty proud of that we nailed the championship teams and we nailed the champion this year. So congratulations, Scooter. A little bit of a sweat last night, so get the victory, 132 to 122, just below the season average of 140 for Scooter after coming off of two giant weeks in first and second rounds, 170, 180, massive wins there. But Scooter puts up just enough, 132 points. We had Amon Ra last night, who was kind of scraping away, but the game script changed a little bit. That little hook and ladder, sorry, Hefe, to Jameson Williams maybe could have eked some different points different ways. The scoring did change, but rightfully so. It was scored correctly by Sleeper, but 132 to 122. And I think it's a really great finish for Tommy out there. Who had some tough go with the season, had some injuries between Brees Hall and Kenneth Walker going in and out, and just kind of persisted, got into the playoffs, got into the spot, won their matchups, and made it to the championship. So congratulations. Second place is fantastic in this league. It's a great payout. Gets you your league dues for at least 2 years until Ron decides to up it for inflation and to donate to world peace and whatever he does with our holdings during the year. But hopefully we keep the price where it's at, just to keep it attainable, affordable for everybody. But again, congratulations to Scooter. Third place, Doge City, coming 7-7, sneaking into the playoffs a little bit and making a great run there, putting the team together, kind of scrapped it together a little bit with some of these players you see in there, giving Tank Bigsby a start, but getting some good scores out of the team and making it happen. He wins the total points for the week. So gets that $60 there, plus the third place winnings, plus most points scored against. So really facing adversity this year, Doge fought through it. And congratulations to the Doge for taking home that third place victory. Well done. We talk about the flip side of it. We talk about the toilet bowl. So, Doge finishing strong, John, toilet strong. Let's go. Wiping hard, spackling that bowl, getting it real nice, going against father-in-law Brian out there with just a rough beat, 77 to 102. Smack it down. Didn't get his old CD Lamb out there, sacrificial and all. But yeah, wins the toilet bowl, which essentially, for those of you not tracking, is the worst score throughout the playoffs. You get flushed to the next round as you lose, and John got flushed hard. He's clogging up the septic tanks around the country right now. John Sword with the Toilet Strong Toilet Bowl. Hell of a year, guys. Had a lot of fun this year. A lot of trades, a lot of big moves. Everybody's still getting more involved. I think we saw some great action from our boy All Hail ESPN, Dan Klingon. Big shout out. Made at least 3 trades this year. I think they were all with me, which is awesome. I like that. I like sparking that fire. I hope that it works out well for you. I can see Jameson Williams is doing good things for you. Daniel Jones, we'll see about that. That was a bye week fill in. But really excited to see some new people getting involved in some of the trades. Caponia, great work getting your boy Sam Laporta. Hopefully he does a little bit better next year. Tough losing Jamar Chase, but you got some draft picks with it. And that's always important when you're in a rebuild phase. We're going to talk a little bit about the way too early for 2025, but let's drop back into kind of how this year finished out. So the weekly winners, weekly payouts, no surprise here. Scooter wins 3 weeks, $180 doing that. Tommy wins 3 weeks throughout the year, $180 doing that. So our 2 championship teams leading the scoreboard there with 3 total points weeks throughout the year. Then we've got 4 people with 2. Our former champ, rest in pieces, Medusa, 2 wins on the year. Dame Judy, yours truly, 2 wins on the year. Doge City, 2 wins on the year. Good payouts for Doge City. Getting the week 3, getting 2 payouts, getting the most points against. Fantastic job for the Doge. The Cum Sale dropping in 2 weeks. Drew gets 1, Hamfist gets 1, and Pat sneaks out 1. So most of our playoff teams, as you can see, Drew, the one that was just on the outside of the playoffs, there in 9th place, but going to make a hard push here in 2025. I truly believe that, but does get a win. So 9 of our owners get a weekly win this year, which is great to see. Anybody, any given Sunday, any given fantasy week, somebody can win there. But again, great year for the group, great year for the 9 owners that did take home at least, a $60 payout for some of you, 120 for others, 180 for Tommy and Scoot. So congratulations. We talked in previous episode, we had the first 10 draft orders set. We now have everybody set for 2025 draft that should occur sometime in June. We'll get those dates sorted and try to arrange it so that way people aren't having to attend graduation parties and can go to the more important thing, which is the public honors college and fantasy football league draft. We'll see where that place could be. We had a lot of fun as a group there at Oscar's Ale House in Eldersburg, which is relatively central for most people. Understanding some are out of town, some that might be a hall, but they got a room. We could rent a room. We could rent strippers, and we could rent a room, and it would be a lot of fun. So we should probably think about doing that in 2025. But here's how it's going to shake out: Marty with the 101, Dan the 102, and again, this is the owners that own that spot, but not necessarily the pick. Dan with the 102, Brian the 103, Caponia 104, Ron Sword 105, Drew Barnes 106, Pat 107, Firm 108, Nick 109, Hefe 110, Hammy Hamfist 111, Doge City 112, Timothy Barnes 113, and Scooter Top G with the 114 pick. Did get traded, but he slid in there. He's got the 201 now. That'll be kind of fun. But that's how it all shakes out. We'll be putting that up on the screen post-production here, hopefully. So we'll point to it one of these directions, maybe right here with the face kind of thing. But let's talk about the 2025 compensatory draft. Compensatory draft is, we cut our defenses in 2025. So running through the leaderboard there, we had a very clear shakeout of 1 through 13. We have a tie at the 14th spot between the Buccaneers, the Cowboys, and the Ravens. Those owners are Dame Judy with the Buccaneers, Ron Sword, Ron Aria with the Cowboys, and Scooter Topji with the Ravens. To be determined how we're going to break that tie. I think we have some objective ways to break that tie, being that the Ravens have given up the least amount of points out of those 3 teams as a defense. I think that's a great objective mark. Week 17 scoring, Ravens put up 17, Bucks put up 15, Dallas put up like -4. So I think another tip to the Ravens. So right now I've got Scooter in that spot. Don't lock that in just yet, Scoot, because apparently people don't like objectivity for tiebreakers and will either go with something random or put it to a league vote. I will note that 13 out of 14 owners are getting a compensatory pick here. So this one with Scoot getting that would be a 13th owner. If not, if that goes to either Dame Judy or Flaming John Aria, they would get 2 in the following year. Only one owner does not get a compensatory pick this year, and that is John's Bussy. Marty did not have a defense. You would have thought the 49ers would have pulled it off, but they struggled this year through a lot of injuries, just as the Detroit Lions did. But the Lions still made it happen, so that's cool. But let's look at it. Denver Broncos, the 401. We're calling it the 401. We're going to do a supplemental draft. We're going to do it likely in August before the first preseason game. We're going to do this before Fab opens up, so that way that this draft is going to be kind of like the fabbing in a sense, but it's you got a draft order for the defenses that you roster. You get a little bit of value back for some of these teams that helped contribute towards your season. But the Broncos, owned by Hamfist Sharton, is going to get the first one. The Vikings, owned by Daniel Klingon, going to get the second. Drew Barnes had the Packers, number 3. Steelers, Brian, number 4. Bills, Caponia, number 5. Eagles, Tommy Barnes, number 6. Seahawks, Hail Jefe, number 7. Texans, Doge City, number 8. The Chargers, Pat, number 9. Rams, Cum Sale, number 10. Detroit Lions, Fermi Firm, number 11. And then our one owner that gets 2 picks guaranteed, the Kansas City Chiefs, Brian. Yeah, let's go, Brian. 2 compensatory picks in that 12 spot. Ron Sword coming out up at number 13 with his boys, the Chicago Bears, and then 14, as I said, up in the air right now. I feel like it should lean towards the Ravens. It should lean towards Scooter. That's bias here coming from Paude Productions. We'll put it to a vote, league vote. I'm swaying everybody right now. Maybe we'll see, but that 414 pick is still up in the air. And we'll see how that goes. But more to come discussing how that's going to shake out. On the lines of defenses, I talked to some of you all on Sunday when we got together. I wanted to do a little bit of analysis here on how defenses contributed to your team, to your outcome this year as we get rid of them, to just see like, hey, are we getting rid of a piece of the pie that maybe played a big role in this league? And the answer is no, we didn't. There were only 5 games this year that would have been decided by defenses. Like if we remove defenses this year, you didn't have them on your team, how would the outcome have changed? The only big one, and it is a big one, would be round 1 of the playoffs that Hamfist took over Cum Sale by 2 points. If you took the defenses out of the equation, Cum Sale would have won that game, moved on into the second round. We can speculate all we want. The Cum Sale's second round score would have been 3rd best, so it would have all been dependent on which team got selected by Scooter pretty much and faced off there. But that was the only one that really had a major impact. There were 4 other games throughout the year that would have been changed to the decision. There would have been a potential chance maybe that Drew Barnes might have made the playoffs because of one game. But that again remains to be seen. But the defenses really didn't have a huge impact. If we completely eliminated them this year, you wouldn't have seen a lot of scoring changes. Like I said, 5 games over the course of 17 weeks. Not too bad. So, as much as I personally loved having the defenses because it's just been a mainstay of fantasy football, it's clear that it doesn't have a big impact. And what we'll see is, if you had 2 defenses, they'll be removed from your team. The starting spot will be removed. If you had 2, you'll have an open bench spot. If you only had 1, then that player's just gone, kind of thing. But you will get your compensatory pick coming in to replace, unless your name is Marty McFly. And we'll move on. I know there's been a lot of conversation around kickers as well over the past 2 years, so we'll see if that comes back up to the vote. As it stands right now, kickers will remain in the league for 2025, but in our off-season summit, we can vote to see if we want to make any changes for 2026. So goodbye, defenses. Thank you for everything you've done for us. We really appreciate you. Stay tough out there. The last thing that we're going to talk about on our Paude today is the way too early predictions, because we're 1 day out of the fantasy championship. So let's talk about 2025. Let's see where the teams are going to be at. This is just a very cobbled together analysis that we've got going on. But I think what we look at is our two championship teams this year, two teams in the championship, Scooter and Hawk Tua. There's not a lot of changes with these teams going into next year. So we see them to be towards the top again. Scooter got to keep an eye on James Conner and James Conner's health. Just had a good contract extension, but we can see he's getting banged up, getting a little bit older. He's got some youth coming in behind him. But not a lot of change to that star-studded kind of roster, and it's staying young. It is already a young team. Got the 201 in next year's draft, so maybe you can pick up some backup somewhere with some youth. And then Hawk Tua, we've talked about him year in, year out. Looking like you need your quarterbacks to be able to play. With Dak going out, with Tua being concussed all the time, and Anthony Richardson just not playing up to the potential. Maybe second year will be better for him, but definitely need that to be sorted out. Obviously, you made it to the championship game, so we can't talk too much about that. But figuring out the running back, so making the trade to get rid of Bucky Irving, which probably kicking yourself a little bit on that now, but that really hit your depth hard. So Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall should all still be very prominent next year, but that's three running backs. Running backs are at a premium in this league. So you just got to watch the health on that kind of stuff. Breece and Kenneth showed you this year that they're not invincible, and, keep an eye on it. But looking to be very strong yet again next year. Doge City showed us that they could come and put up points, but I think this team also needs to kind of figure out a little bit of identity there at the running back slot. We got Jameer just carrying the torch. But then just kind of filling in some gaps. I had some really good names over the last couple of years who have kind of fallen off the radar with their teams, not getting as many touches as they used to. We'll see if Tank Bigsby does take over there in Jacksonville over Etienne, who just really fell off the radar this year. But this team is strong. Jaden Daniels is going to lead that charge. Got strong wide receivers. And they've got some tools that they could trade. So look for Doge City to be another playoff team next year and a strong push. And we'll see. We've got some Falcons there that Michael Penix can get the best out of them, as Kirk did earlier in the season. Then we talk about the Cum Sale. Cum Sale was our rebuild team of the year of the last couple of years. Made a big splash, a couple big splash trades, and then got a couple of injuries towards the end of the year, but scoring big points, really carried hard by Jamar Chase and Bijan playing very well. The quarterback position is really what made this team's difference with Sam Darnold. Fantastic pickup. Nobody would have seen that coming except for the Cum Sale. And so Sam Darnold, question mark there for next year. So we'll see what happens at the quarterback position. No first round picks next year, which is going to be a big surprise for the Cum Sale, but maybe opportunity to trade. He does like the action. But the Cum should continue to be good with Nico Collins, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, see if he makes a comeback in New York. Nick Chubb, broken foot, should make a comeback. But that's really what you're looking at, is Bijan needs that compliment. Unfortunately, Jonathan Brooks going down with another late injury, might miss the entire 2025 season. So this team really needs to fill in that secondary running back spot to be successful next year. Dame Judy, really pushed hard to build up, get veterans, paid a lot of money to get some of these players between Tyreek Hill, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, and just kind of fell flat towards the end of the season. That's what happens sometimes. And the hope for this team is that maybe one more year. A lot of players, very good players, good hype names, are in their 30s. They might have 1 year left in them, but one injury could end their career. There is some depth on this team, but really this team is looking for those big names to shine. We'll see. It could be one of those things where if the first 4 weeks don't go well, you start to see a sell-off. But I think one more shot, one more year for Judy, and then decide whether to hold him or fold. We got Drew Barnes, who just barely missed the playoffs this year. The team is very solid, but hit some injuries there. Joe Burrow showing that he knows how to score in fantasy. Solid running back play between Kyron Williams and Jonathan Taylor. Strong wide receivers. Lost Chris Godwin, who was having a great year this year. Hopefully it will be back for them next year. I think Drew is going to make the playoffs next year and should be a formidable opponent throughout the year. The Medusas, really got hurt towards the end of the season, was looking to make a good, strong push, but between McCaffrey falling off, Aaron Jones is kind of in and out of games, Mike Evans was really carrying this team. Jalen Hurts getting concussed, just injury prone and not a lot of depth on this team. They were riding very close to the sun with the group, and I think saw towards the end of the year, this isn't the year. Let's cash in on some capital. Let's try to get some drafts. I know they're eyeing up the 2027 draft, but they've got the core still, and similar to Judy's, they're getting older. So maybe one more year that they could make a push, or they start a rebuild, and not a full rebuild, but I think they've got the firepower that they can get some draft picks and make it interesting. Hammy Hamfist, this team is in flux. They've got we've talked about them before. They've got a group that can put together a very strong week, but it's hard to get consistency out of them. I think the reason that they're in flux is going into next year. You've got a couple players there that you're not sure what role they're going to have on their team. DeAndre Swift played very well. Keenan Allen played very well. Maybe continue to build with Caleb Williams. Josh Allen is always going to continue scoring, but he's now on the trade block, so we'll see what happens there. Brian Robinson and Washington, these guys, they've got that potential. Travis Kelce, if they win a Super Bowl this year, does he retire? So some question marks there. Is all that you're looking at for this team with Hamfist it's just not it's not that solid team. I know he hates watching. He loves watching Paudes, but he hates them at the same time. He hates me because I continually deliver what I think might be bad news. But defy the odds. It's nothing personal. I don't think. Hopefully, it's not personal. It's trying to be objective here. But Hammy, yeah, they need a theme to this team outside of Commanders players and driving that forward. But I think they need to make some more moves. They made a lot of moves, but it's we need a good core. That's what we need. We need to build the core, Hammy. Beth's Healthy Twins starting to fall, starting to slide. They had a couple of splash weeks. I mean, that week 14 putting up 178 show that this team can score. But at this point, it feels like they're just carried by Puka. Some of the players on this team are starting to get supplanted on their rosters. Jalen Waddle starting to fall off. Joe Mixon had a really good comeback year this year, but then slowed up there in the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes into it next year. Zach Charbonnet got some touches, so maybe there's a little bit of life happening there. But this team's just some players starting to fade, similar to my team, Dame Judy, where team, you got the names, you got the players, but they're just starting to fade on their rosters, starting to see young talent come in and take touches and take points off the board. So I think we're going to see the Healthy Twins fall a little bit this year. They might not make the playoffs next year. And then we start to talk about the bottom five rather, and I think we're about to see a turning point in this league where we've got teams like Caponia, who's been in the bottom for the last 2 years, building up, cashing in on that capital. We've got the young talent between Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Devin Achane. This team needs a running back. It needs a complement to Devin Achane, and they've got the 104 pick. Hopefully in this draft can find some value there, or maybe trade the 104 and get a wily veteran or something like that. But that's what this team really needs to continue the path forward. They filled in that tight end slot. They've got Goff. This team is solid. It can be, but they need a running back. I'd like to see Caponia make a move for that. If they can't find somebody at that 104 slot, I'm sure somebody has their eyes on someone too in that area. But make a move and I think he can make the playoffs in 2025. Same thing for All Hail ESPN. Made some good moves this year, built out the team, got a lot of young talent there at wide receiver. Another team that needs running backs. Running back, again, is the premium in this league a lot of times. Wide receivers seem to be the scorers, but running backs are where you have the gaps, and you need to have what do we call it? We say you need to have that high floor. You need running backs with a high floor. Pat Mahomes, a little resurgence here towards the end of the year. That could be the ticket. Got the 102 pick, so could find that running back there. But again, 102 could be very valuable. You could either trade back and get some picks that way, or you can trade that 102 and maybe get a veteran and a half or something like that to be relevant. But get Rashee Rice back next year, Ladd McConkey, Jameson Williams. Probably need to fill in some tight end gap at this point too. But I think this team could make a run. If it's not this year, it's next year that All Hail ESPN is going to come back from their 2021 championship run and be relevant again. Then we got John Aria. This team, are they rebuilding? Are they not rebuilding? They had some injuries this year between Olave. Hollywood Brown was out most of the season. Just got CD Lamb owned to the team, but sacrificed Justin Jefferson. I think yet again we're going to talk about running backs. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, the combo. Jalen Warren is definitely the most explosive there. Najee Harris is still wearing blue jeans when he's running. So maybe looking to trade that. Javonte Williams looking like he might lose the job there in Denver. Too many mouths to feed there. So this team, again, we're talking about running backs yet again. I think John Aria, if they want to go for it next year, they're going to have to trade and get some running backs out of it. They got some draft picks coming. They dished out some players this year and got some draft capital. So there's definitely some opportunity there with multiple first round draft picks for John Aria. But I'd say they're going to be on the cusp next year. I think they're going to be fighting for one of the final playoff spots. Then we get down to John's Bussy. So this is the team that everybody loved to watch tank. A lot of controversy throughout the year, but we love to hear Marty talk. We love to hear him complain. We love to hear him, world is ending kind of stuff. And so, the other thing that we love to hear him talk about is Bucky Irving. I think is Bucky on your team? Yeah. I think he has Bucky Irving. I think I don't know. I don't remember. But this team has the draft capital. They got the 101. They got the 103. They're not a fan of the 103. So for those of you looking to move up in the draft, better come prepared to pay because this guy definitely wants to cash out on that one. I think we need one more year. One more year in the rebuild. If there's one thing about Marty, it's that he is not very patient, though. So I think Marty is going to try to force the rebuild, unfortunately, and probably ruin his odds doing so. But if it were me or anybody else, I think you give it one more year on this rebuild and stock up on stuff. But let's see how crafty he is. He's a smart feller. He's not a fart smeller. Sometimes he smells farts. But Bussy, give it one more year. Just do it. Do it, Bussy. And then last, I'm sorry, Brian, but you need running backs. You got screwed with Zamir White. Unfortunately, I know I dodged that bullet trying to get him off of you. Thankfully, dodged that one. But you really need to fill that gap. Maybe Blake Corum does a little bit more with the Rams next year. But you got a solid foundation with your wide receivers. You'd have to trade somebody away most likely to get your running backs. Get 2 years. Be patient, Brian. I know I don't think you have a lot of draft capital this year. I think you got rid of some of your draft picks. So I think you're going to need to wait until 2026. But if you have that option to get a running back, or maybe you get that late round steal, something along those lines, like the Pacheco of the world, the Kyron Williams, who's a free agent pickup. Don't let Ron tell you otherwise. And but yeah, Brian, you're gonna struggle next year. I know you've got some players, and anybody can score any given week. John's Bussy winning 3 games this year that come sale with the amount of games that they won last year. It's fantasy football. You can find a way to win a game, but I think you're going to need about 2 years. Geno side out there. Good luck to everybody. I hope you enjoy your off season. Stay active. Stay conversing. The trade portal is open. Free agency is closed. We'll look to have a rules summit, probably a Zoom call at some point to discuss any 2026 ideas, thoughts, bring whatever you got to the table. And great year. It's sad that it's gone. Went by really fast for me at least. But yeah, I think at this point we say Happy New Year to you all. Hope you celebrate safely tonight. And good night, Fermi. Good night, Fermi.
Thank you for listening to the official podcast of the Public Honors College Fantasy Football League. Coom quickly, coom often, and coom loud.